I see we have 30 participants here. And I know we've got just 1 hour today, so perhaps I think we'll get started. It's 10:03. Welcome everyone. My name is Sean Mitchell, and I'm from Toronto Public Library. I am the Director for Policy Planning and Performance Management here. And I am also a member of the IFLA Statistics and Evaluation section. And I'm one of the 4 members speaking here today of our working group on public libraries and the impact of public libraries. We'll be doing a series of presentations today. I'll start first, which is why I'm speaking first, and then I'll be handing it to my colleague Isabella. She will introduce herself, and then she will be handing it to her colleague Yannicka, and then Yannicka will be handing it to Anne. So myself and Isabella will be providing an overview of 2 case studies within our respective countries. And Yannicka and Anne will give you some overview of some of the work that's at play within their respective countries as well. Following our presentations, we will be opening it up for chat. So if you have questions, you can enter it in the chat, but we won't be answering the questions until we complete our presentations. But please do feel free to ask questions. We're looking forward to that today. So welcome, and with that, I will get started. I'm just checking with my folks here that are you able to see my slides clearly?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So yes, hello everyone. It's a pleasure again to be here today and share with you how Toronto Public Library engages or leverages data to engage through communities that informs the development of our strategic planning processes. So the bulk of my presentation today will be discussing the findings from one of our recent surveys of Toronto residents that's informed the development of our new 2025 to 2029 strategic plan. But first, I'll begin with an overview of how TPL collects data through our consultations, research, and surveys that inform the development of our strategy. So this is really just at a glance of who we are. I'm not sure who we have in our audience. Maybe we do have some folks from Canada or who are aware of Toronto Public Library. But Toronto is the largest city in Canada. So some stats here for you with more than 3 million people. It's the 4th largest city in North America. TPL is the biggest and busiest public library system in North America. And we have more than 46 annual visits to our branches and online. We have 100 branch network across the city with 2 book mobile services, and we provide 24/7 access to our collections and services through our website, tpl.ca. And our vast collections hold over 10.5 million items with 40 languages represented. So this slide just shows an overview of how we engage our communities throughout the development of our strategic plan. And this is our most recent plan that we'll be launching in 2025. So it's been a collaborative effort over the past year, and that's involved more than 6,000 library staff, Torontonians, community partners, and stakeholders. Through surveys, staff forums, focus groups, interviews, stakeholder meetings, expert discussions, we gathered really valuable insight on how TPL can best support Torontonians and their communities both now and looking into the future. It's been an incredibly process to be part of, and we're very appreciative of everyone who took part and gave their time to give us their feedback to help shape our next strategic plan. So this slide helps to visualize all of those inputs that were just talked about on the previous slide. So we engage quite extensively with our communities. And today, though, I will only be focusing on the engagement that's noted below on the bottom arrow with our third-party survey of Toronto residents as one example. So this survey, the Toronto Public Library Board approved it as part of our development of our strategic plan for 2025 to 2029. It is conducted every 5 years at the beginning of each strategic plan, and it gathers demographic data about TPL users, infrequent users, non-users, as well as it measures awareness of attitudes towards the use of TPL services. So there's a lot of information within this report. It's posted online, and I encourage you to take a look, and you can find that through our tpl.ca website. And I'm happy to share that link after. So I'll start first with a brief overview of the survey. So TPL procured Forum Research, which is a third-party research firm, to conduct the survey. And the data collected from the survey will support evidence-based decision-making and guide, as I mentioned earlier, the development of our new strategic plan. So the survey includes a random sample of Toronto residents, and this is achieved through the following objectives. It's gathered demographic market data about library users and non-users, measured awareness of and attitudes toward library services by users, frequent users, infrequent users, and non-users. Service usage trend among equity-deserving groups, identify the percentage of Torontonians who use the library through any change, and deepen the understanding of users and non-users' perception and preference for library services in the future. However, I'll only be focused on the user statistics for the purposes of today's presentation. So Forum Research conducted the survey this past year from June 17th to July 1st, 2024, and they used a statistically valid random sample of 1,207 residents aged 18 above and older. Residents were given the option to complete the survey either online or by phone. And the survey was also translated and made available in the 5 most spoken languages within Toronto, besides English and French. The data was then weighted by age, gender, and income to ensure the sample accurately reflects the Toronto population. Additionally, we carried out an oversampling of equity-deserving groups to ensure diversity is reflected within the sample. This is the 6th time that we've done the survey, so this really enables us to do comparisons over time. So now I'll speak to the key findings. We have 9 overall findings, and I'll speak to those quite quickly. But to start, we can really see that Torontonians view public libraries as a highly relevant institution, with 93% strongly agreeing on public libraries' importance for both communities and literacy. 81%, this is a huge statistic for us. We're very excited about this. 81% of respondents reported accessing the library in the past 12 months. So this means 81% of Torontonians have used us. This is a 13% increase from 2019 when it was 68%. This suggests that there's growing reliance on our services and growing engagement with our services. The library strategy of offering multiple touch points with physical, online, and communications through email, social, and phone has collectively contributed to that growth. It also suggests that TPL services are more relevant than ever. While traditional activities like book browsing are still popular, there's a noticeable shift in the use of technology services. The library is increasingly becoming a go-to place for accessing digital resources, particularly for those who don't have access to computers or internet at home. And in 2024, 62% of TPL users use the library's computers for various purposes during their visit. Additionally, 32% of users reported using the library's wireless internet. This highlights TPL's contribution to bridging the digital divide within our city. So although there's a high awareness among the public of our services, fewer respondents are aware of the other types of services we provide. This includes school assignment help for children and teens, access to specialized technology, entrepreneurial support, and it suggests that Torontonians may not be benefiting from the full range of services and resources due to a lack of awareness. The majority of TPL non-users have used the library regularly in the past, which indicates that while they might not be active users, they do have a history of engaging with us in the past. So by improving awareness of TPL book selection and promoting the high quality of our programs, we could potentially drive greater engagement among our non-users. Tailor our marketing communication strategies to highlight these offerings could be one of the keys to re-engaging with that group. So it's really encouraging to see that TPL's usage is strong across nearly all key demographic groups, and TPL's usage is robust among all the groups surveyed, particularly those under 55 years of age, with the highest engagement seen in those between the ages of 35 and 44. TPL serves as a vital resource hub for some of the most vulnerable and marginalized communities within Toronto. These groups depend on the library not just for education resources, but for essential services that support their daily lives. So next, for the purpose of this presentation, I'll just be speaking to the types of usage. I won't be speaking into the findings from our non-users, but this will give you a snapshot as to some of the findings within the study. So looking at our trend usages, here we see a trending slide of our usage dating back to 2001 when we began this survey. So we see that digital engagement is becoming more prominent. And although physical branch visits have been declining over the years, they stabilized at 68% in 2024. So this indicates that while digital access has grown, there still is a strong reliance on an appreciation for the physical spaces that the library provides. And here we see a breakdown of the different touch points that the library offers. So again, we see the 81% and the strong ongoing engagement with the library. That is, most respondents engage with the library in various ways. Particularly, we see a growth in library branch visits and our physical visits from 62% in 2019 up to 68% in 2024. And you can also see a 13% decline in those who responded no to accessing the library in the past 12 months, suggesting that more people are finding value in our services. Here we are seeing some demographic breakdowns between users and non-users. We can see the most engaged group is those between the ages of 35 and 44. In terms of income, library usage remains relatively consistent across different income brackets with no significant variance in usage rates. This indicates that the library services are accessible and valued by individuals at all economic levels, highlighting the library's roles as an inclusive community resource. We can see that nearly half of the individuals with less than high school education are non-users. This suggests potential barriers or relevance for this group. We also see that those identifying as transgender, non-binary, or two-spirit have the highest library usage at 89%. This reflects TPL's inclusive, welcoming environment, particularly for marginalized communities, and this is consistent throughout the findings of the survey. We see that unemployed individuals or those looking for a job have the highest usage rates at 89%, highlighting the role of the library as a critical resource for job seekers. We also see that stay-at-home caregivers have a high usage rate at 86%, indicating that the library serves as an important resource for those managing household and caregiving responsibilities. Here we see a breakdown of the frequency of visits, as mentioned earlier. While more people are accessing the library, they're coming in less frequently. This could imply that while more are accessing our services overall, that the nature of their engagement is changing. And this is possibly due to the availability of digital resources and changing lifestyles post-pandemic. Now we have the breakdown of the reasons for visiting the library. We see once again that browsing for books remains the top reason for visiting the library. However, when you compare it to 2019, we see that the library is evolving from a place primarily for book borrowing to multifaceted community resource. And this slide, it's the final one on the demographics before I get into some final observations. It provides a snapshot of our key demographic insights, highlighting the reasons different segments of the population visit the library. For example, youth 18 to 24 are significantly more likely to visit the library to find a quiet place to study or read. Meanwhile, newcomers and those with low household income show a stronger preference for using the library resources like printers, scanners, photocopiers, as well as our wireless internet and computers. And then the highlighted yellow cells that you see on this slide show where certain demographics have higher percentage of use compared to the other segments, suggesting that the library plays a critical role in addressing the specific needs of these groups. And now I'll close off with the final section on some of the implications and opportunities that were identified. So for implications, I'll just highlight three. There's a number here on the screen, but for the purpose of the presentation, I'll just speak to three. So high engagement, as we see with 81% of respondents accessing our services in the past year, it's quite clear that TPL successfully blended in-person and digital offering to maintain high engagement levels. Cornerstone of our community, TPL continues to be a fundamental part of the Toronto community, providing essential support for lifelong learning, literacy, social connection, making it deeply integrated into the social fabric of our city. Evolving user behavior. The shift in engagement patterns suggests that user behaviors are evolving, likely due to increase in digital resource and competing demands. And finally, I will close out with highlighting three opportunities that we are examining and integrating into the development of our new strategic plan. Expanding digital access. TPL should continue to broaden access to and awareness of our digital resources and technology, which are increasingly vital for users across the city, especially as we're trying to address the digital divide. Adapting to change. As user behaviors evolve, TPL should explore strategies to maintain and enhance its physical spaces while also leveraging its digital offerings to keep users engaged. Reinforcing a welcoming environment. It's essential to maintain and reinforce TPL's role as a safe and welcoming environment that serves all Torontonians and continues to provide a trusted space for community engagement. And with that, as I said, I'm happy to take questions, but we'll save those at the end. And I will now hand it to my colleague, Isabella.
Hello, I'm Isabella Corres. I'm working in the National Library of Poland, where I'm responsible for processing statistical data on public libraries in Poland and all type of libraries in Poland. And also I'm responsible for designing and conducting and coordinating some research and studies on library or reading issues. In my presentation, in my presentation, I will briefly describe through three case studies, three examples of research projects of a different scale conducted in Poland. I will start with, okay, does it work? No. So, yeah, with pretty general and obvious remark that it's from the perspective of the library, not the specialized research agency or some team of researchers. It's pretty easy to access their own users and to gather knowledge on their own users through statistics or through simple talking, speaking, surveying the people who come to the libraries. But it's much more difficult to get in touch with non-users. Of course, if a library or a city or municipality has resources to commission the study to the research agency, it's fine. But in many cases, libraries are underfunded and need to come up with some innovative ways and ideas how to get in touch with the non-users and know something about the potential new users and how to attract them to libraries. And the third remark from my own experience is that the more advanced and complex and costful a study is, the more difficult is to formulate quite practical, useful, and easy to implement recommendation for the small libraries and specific libraries. But well, therefore, I will start with the small study small research project conducted by the small library in a small town close to the Warsaw, located in the Warsaw suburb area. The library, the city is about 50,000 of inhabitants. A public library is located at the train station, which is very convenient because many inhabitants of this town commuters to Warsaw to the capital city to work. And the library has only 13 employees of each 10 are regular librarians. The share of active borrowers is pretty high because it's one for about a quarter of all inhabitants, which is good for Poland and Polish standards. The idea they come up with to survey the inhabitants of the local commune the library is serving. But what was most witty and I think innovative was the places where the surveys, where this survey was held, because the librarians they build up a special trolley, put the books from the library and all the forms which are needed, and enter to the local playgrounds. They come out from the library because the people who are in library, but to meet the people outside the library, librarians need to go outside of the library. So, you can see this is librarians speaking to the parents met at the library at these playgrounds, and I think why I like this project, because this was a cheap and feasible project done by the librarians themselves. And it provided mutual benefits, both for the library and for the commune, and for, it's good. First, the librarians, through direct conversations with the parents met at the playgrounds, and through the questionnaire filled by the parents, gained some knowledge of interest, hobbies, needs of these potential future users. The second benefit was that the inhabitants were positively surprised that they have such nice, open, accessible librarians in the library, and that the library, in fact, cares for their opinion and comes to them to know what shall we do, or what are you interested in, what shall we provide in our events and workshops, or what books would you like to borrow from our library. It was good message delivered to the local commune that the library cares for their opinion. And what I like most, I think it's a very, maybe it was intuitive, but it's very well thought, because playgrounds is the place where parents, people taking care, paying attention to the development of the kids, to their social development, physical development, the needs for providing them the moves, are gathered in a natural way. So because they care for their children and bring them to the playgrounds, they are also more likely to bring them to the library as well. So this is well-targeted campaign, because they really pay attention to their kids, and they find library helpful in their attempts to rise up healthy, well-socialized kids. So reaching the future potential users and gathering opinion of this group, I think is very effective. I mean, the costs and the outcomes are well balanced, because some adults interviewed during this small scale ad hoc survey conducted by the librarians themselves appeared in the library afterwards with their kids and became the regular user. So this more gain to attract also the people who were interviewed at the first phase of the project. The next study, the next example is a big international survey, which is regularly conducted in the National Library of Poland. Of course, this is a nationwide survey on the random sample. It's expensive, but we cover the whole population of Poland and all age groups and all job, economic status groups. But we repeat the survey in the regular way every year, ask them more or less the same core questions with some new topics every year. So we have overall knowledge of processes and changes of the reading behaviors and attitudes towards reading. And we also have the knowledge on avid readers, infrequent readers, non-readers, as well as library users and non-users. I have no time to discuss all the findings, but I will mention some not so obvious findings. The first one is that the books from library circulate also within social bonds and social circles, because people borrow the books from the library and then borrow the books for their friends, to their friends or to their family members. So in fact, the social impact of books from library and libraries collections are bigger than suggest only statistics of lendings. But this is the double sword argument, because publishers don't like libraries in Poland, because they regard libraries as a kind of competitors, because people borrow the books from libraries, and well, we have some kind of tensions, but this is, well, I don't know how it's in other countries, but still, I think it's a good argument for advocacy, for funding libraries, that the impact of library is bigger than simple registered users and the lendings registered in library statistics. Another finding is that libraries as a source of books to be read, but also as a source of people interested in reading and this reading surroundings, is particularly important for persons who have whose social ties get weakened over the time. I mean, well, I look at the share of people, at the social backgrounds of respondents claiming to attend, visit library or read the book borrowed from the library. This is a more important source of books for people who are widowed, divorced, especially for women divorced, widowed and single for males, because we already stated that reading books looks like an intimate activity done in a solitude, done alone. But in fact, reading books is a social activity subjected to social ties and influence. So those readers around the person are very supportive or disheartening factor inflicting on the reading habits and the outcome, whether they will read or not. And the third finding, the third conclusion is that when we applied very advanced statistical analytical tools to prove that this can be proven in the statistical way, but it turns out that when we compare all complex matrix of factors, that the current surrounding of a person, of a reader, is more influential to incite people to make someone read books or not than the childhood and the proper socialization for reading in the childhood. I think this is quite a positive and inclusive argument, because some children were not properly raised or might come from the families which were not very supportive for themselves. And this can be overcome by the positive attitude and positive influence of people surrounding a person in their adulthood. So it's like in Latin proverb that we are taught by words, but we are driven by examples of others. So when we have the readers in our social circles, readers around us, we are more likely to read also, or to start read books, or to return to reading books. And the third example, the example find this regular survey of the National Library of Poland is conducted on a representative sample through the face-to-face interview, which is quite important and which is quite expensive. The third example comes from the large and complex research study and research project but these results were conducted through internet survey, which is more convenient for asking some difficult and tiring questions. Of course, the results may be slightly biased, but for this particular topic, it was quite useful and convenient. This is only a slice of our findings, which will show you some interesting perspective, because we asked, the sample was about 2,500 of respondents, which is pretty high. And the interviewees were asked following question. The participants were provided with the long list of adjectives, and then they were asked which adjectives fit best to the typical librarian, to the typical person who works in a library, to the typical female attending the library, or female library users, or male library users. At the end, which of these adjectives best fits to the person completing the questionnaire himself or herself. So this provided us with this is correspondence analysis, but we have kind of the mental map of the self-perception. Self-perception is this blue blurb, and the way the four groups of our respondents perceive the librarian. As you, during the analysis, we differentiated four groups: typical library users, new library users, which is formed by a new generation, younger generation of library users. Those who used to use libraries, but for some reasons they quit from the libraries. This was a very interesting group for us. We wanted to know what are the churners of the library, of the public library. This is a market research concept, but important group, and those non-users. And what is most interesting, as you see, these typical old-fashioned library users, this is I, and those people describe themselves as introvert, maladjusted, conservative. They describe librarian as a professional, independent, helpful, nice, friendly, and so on. The new library, this younger generation of library users, they describe themselves as introvert as well, but also as an ambitious person, attractive person, elegant, active, cinema goer, and good time and life of the party person. This second factor of being involved in the relationship with other people is quite new and interesting because it appears in every group. Those adjectives assigned to librarians are also positive and quite similar: polite, professional, friendly, calm, kind, helpful. The next group, those who used to attend library but quitted for some reasons, as you can see, this is interesting because they also describe themselves as active, also involved in the vivid relationships, active relationships with other people, a good time person, life of the party. I hope I properly translated the idioms, because I can understand the semantic fields of the Polish terms, but well, I'm not an English speaker. Still, what is interesting, this is different perception on librarians. As you can see, there are some not positive adjectives. Few. This is the results of the answers from more than 500 of people. So they are not one. It's a statistical result. So they are not the same. But we can see some not good adjectives, like regarding the librarians as unsuccessful, not vigorous, apathetic, and unaccessible. This is the part of the negative stereotype of librarians. we know that there are something like stereotypes of librarians, and now this is the stereotype to some way taken picture of. And the last group are those non-users who only describe what they think about librarians and what they think about themselves. And what is interesting, still there are this good time, person, life of the party attitude adjectives, but also active, athletic, dominant. Librarians are not vigorous, inaccessible, unhelpful, but also some good adjectives as well. And this is, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is very complex statistical data, but the problem is how to analyze it. And I would say that what we can see, we can observe the traces of the library trauma in these second groups, those ex-users and non-users, that they might have some interaction with the librarians which were not professional or nice or polite enough. The second conclusion is that among the groups like new generation of library users and those non-users, being active, fit, athletic, being in good terms with other people are important values for the self-identity. Therefore, if libraries would like to be more accessible and more open, welcome to more variety of users, the libraries should, from one hand, remain the safe haven for introverts, for shy people who usually choose the library to somehow, to some way hide from the world, from the noisy world, and they look for the safe haven, but also to respond to the interest of the people who really appreciate these active attitudes, active involvement in relationship with people, active engagement in maintaining health and well-being. And the last problem is how to make those two groups comfortable at the same time in the library. We have the same with when we have youngsters in the library and the seniors at the same time. That might come up some tensions. So it's not easy for librarians to navigate the groups, different groups of users, and to satisfy they need, provide them with all the need. Okay, thanks a lot. Now I'll pass the voice to Janika. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Isabella. Okay, you're still sharing, it says. I'll try sharing again. Yeah. So you may see my screen now. And also to Isabella, the publishers also see Norwegian libraries as competitors. So I think that's the rule in several countries. My name is Jannike Røgler, and I will give a brief presentation about some of the tools and resources that we have in Norway. Statistics Norway is the National Statistical Institute of Norway and the main producer of official statistics. It's the National Library's responsibility to collect library statistics from all our libraries and deliver to the Institute. And as you may see, they also have quite a few of their statistics in English. The National Library, not only do they collect the data, they also conduct regular user surveys. In a survey carried out in December 2023, half of the respondents answered that they had used a public library in the last 12 months. And we think that's a quite nice figure for Norway. the libraries in Norway are quite popular. This is another site called Bibstat, and that is my main source where I can compare my library to others and follow the development of our services over time. So it's a very useful resource. And in 2025, we are conducting a new study in the largest public libraries of Norway. It's a 3-part study, an observational study, a survey, and focus group interviews. The use of the library space has changed a lot over time. So it will be very interesting to see the trend over 30 years. So we're really much looking forward to that. We have a wide range of tools that we use to monitor our services. Some of the tools are available on the National Library's website for library development. And one tool that is popular is Track the Traffic. And Track the Traffic is a useful tool when planning changes to the library. One of the main findings we always see when we are doing a TTT is that the average length of stay is increasing. People are spending more and more time at the library when they're there. And I've done quite a lot of work in collection development, especially around turnover rate and weeding of collections. I have developed national recommendations for turnover rate for books, and I have also translated and adapted CREW, the reading manual for Texas from Texas State Library and Archives Commission into Norwegian. So this was a short presentation of some of our tools for exploring how our communities use our services. And we also have some, here you can find some resources, and some are also in English. Thank you. And now I will stop sharing and hand it over to my colleague in Sweden. And
thank you very much.
Stop sharing. I'll just stop my sharing. Okay. Yeah.
I think before I'm going to talk about strategic plans, and this you have been talking about surveys and so I think it should be good if somebody have any questions or something, we could maybe take some time for that right now. So we have time for that. If somebody have some questions, yes. I see here. How can I see that?
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, my name is Omar. I'm from Abdelhamid Shaman Public Library in Jordan. I have a question for you. First of all, can you share the slides with us? And the second question, do you have an idea on how to measure the impact for trainings conducted in our library? Like, we offer some training courses in the library, and we offer also another activities, and we want to measure the impact of those activities on our library users. Do you have an idea how we can do that?
I can speak to some ideas and some work that we have at Toronto Public Library, if that's helpful. One specific initiative, and I'm happy to follow up with you on that in some of the reports we produced. It's looking at assessing training needs and the use of staff related to digital technology. We have a project that's called Bridge Project, and basically we survey staff to assess where, their own perception of their skill needs, as well as surveying our customers and asking them about the impact of staff training when it comes to digital services and digital technology. So that's one area. The other is we conducted last year or 2023 a social impact study and the impact of staff, and we assessed that through that study, and I'm happy to share that report as well with you. And that looks more broadly at the impact of staff, but it gives insights into training as well. But
That would be really helpful. I would love if you would share it with me. Thank you so much. But like, I have another question. It's like we don't want to assess for like the employees of the library. We want to assess for our for our beneficiaries, for our library users, like the training library users who attended the trainings we provided and the activities we provided.
got it. Sorry. Yeah, I misunderstood that. But we have similar surveys on that too. I see Isabella is also noting in the chat some suggestions as well.
Yes,
Thank you, Isabella. Thank you.
Hi, Omar. I advise you to look at this international norm on libraries. I put a number in the chat, and you have lots of techniques and ways of first evaluating the impact and then even calculating the indexes and statistics. So it will be most, I think, the best source to do it according to the social to the librarian norms. Thanks.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
there
Isabella.
was a question to you, Isabella, from Pavlina. Could you see the question, Isabella? Hello, Isabel? In the chat?
Well, no, they have not been published yet, but I hope to come up with the publication, because this is the complex concept, and these results are difficult to explain for non-professionals, not used to work with this correspondence analysis and this way. But I hope I will publish an article, and then I will gladly share with you. Thanks.
And of course we share the slides, don't we? Yeah.
And this is the recording, and it'll get posted to the lobby after as well.
Yeah. Do we have any more?
Yeah,
questions?
just last question. I'm sorry, last question.
Yeah.
What are the most used digital tools in the library, like you guys use?
For the survey?
Yeah, for the survey.
Okay, Anson, I can answer. The survey conducted by the National Library of Poland are commissioned to the specialized research agencies. So they use their own professional survey. We don't do this ourselves because of the many problems.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
So, have you answered all the questions? But here is one more, maybe. Have you done as Diana? Is that the question? Have you done a SKROI calculation for the library? I haven't.
I haven't as well.
No.
I'm thinking that social return on investment, is that the reference? Yes, our that social impact study that I mentioned, I'm going to put a link in the chat actually for that. The study we did in 2013, and you can find some resources there.
Yeah. Then maybe I can share my a short last presentation. Can you see the the presentation? Yeah. My name is Anne Lundberg. I work as a developer at the regional library in the south of Sweden. And I'm going to talk about our culture plans and our library plans as a strategic tools to work. Yeah, how do I? Yeah, here do we have Sweden, and we have 20 regions in Sweden, and I work in the south of Sweden, you can see at the right. And I work at the region Skåne, the culture department for the south of Skåne. And we are working with libraries, visual arts, filmmaking, performing arts, and culture heritage, and adult education, creative industries, and art and health, design living environment. We are 35 persons, and there is living 1.4 million people in the south of in Skåne, where I work, and we have 33 communities. And we have a regional contribution to our work for 350 million Swedish crown, and we have 240 million from the state. We are 35 people who works, and most of the money goes out to institutions, culture institutions. So we have just a small part that we work with to special projects and that. So. And this is our 4 priority areas. And if we are going to have the 240 million from the state, we have to do a culture plan. We have a special culture collaboration method in Sweden, where the state, the region works together to finance the culture regionally. It's artistic creation, participation in co-creation, culture spaces and places, children's and young people's right to culture and art, and digital development. And this is the last year for this plan. Together we create culture for everyone. And we are 5 persons of the 35 who works with the regional library development. And we had to have a special library strategic plan, and that rules by the law, the Library Act. And the library, yes, there is, we have, this is the rules in the law. Work for the development of democratic society by contribution of knowledge, transfer and free options, opinion formation, promote the status of literature and the interest in education, information, education and research, as well as culture activities in general. Library activities must be accessible to everyone. And the regional library operations, the task that I have and work with is each region must carry out regional library operations with an aim of promoting cooperation, operational development, and quality in relation to the public libraries operating in the region. And of course, we take statistic and reports when we are making this regional library plans, of course, but we don't do research by our own. And every municipality and region must have adopted a library plan for their activities in the library area. And if you want to search for special money from the state, you absolutely have to have a library plan. So everyone in Sweden have library plans, if you are a public library or a regional library. And we work as a regional library with networks and collaboration. We have methods. We help libraries to work with these strategic documents. We support them. We support them with money if they want to do a special project. And we have public funding project, learning support, and experience. If they want to experience something quite easy, they have this experimental funding. And this is the task for the Library for Everyone through the whole life. That's our plan right now. That library for participation and democracy, library for learning and reading, a library for creativity and culture, and library for sustainability and health. So, thank you.
I see, I think Rowan, I believe, did you have a question? I think I saw your hand.
Hello. Actually, I want to ask about what are the methodologies that you use in order to reach a sample size for certain evaluations that you do in libraries? Thank you.
For me?
Or, yeah, I'm not.
I don't think we do so much research, I mean, an evaluation and that one, but we have dialogue with a lot of people, politicians. We have different kinds of networks. We have chiefs in different kinds of for the different kinds of institutions. We have with NGOs and with we have agreements with the NGOs and the adult learning, for example. And we are trying to work with other sectors in the region to reach out. So it's quite dialogue based when we are working through this this plan. But of course, we take care of, if it's reports or statistics, we use that as a background information, but we don't do this service as, no. I don't know if that was really the answer of the question, but no.
Great. I see we're at 11 my time, but I know we're at the end of the webinar, different time for everyone. But feel free to reach out after. I know I've shared my email in the chat. I think Isabella has as well, and we can connect you with Yannicka or Anne as well. So I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to spend with us today. It's topics that we're all very excited. It's also our first time doing this. So I think it was quite an experience for us, but quite an enjoyable one, I think as well. I think I can say that for my colleagues as well. So thank you all, and take care.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.